Hello and welcome. I'm Gauhar Raza and you are watching Eureka. Today we have a special guest, a person of excellent career of more than 53 years. But before I introduce him, let me tell you a story. Near Jalandhar in Punjab, there was a small little village. A boy was born in a family of farmers. Mother had never gone to school. Father studied till 10th standard. And he was respected because he was the only one in the larger family and in the village who had crossed 10th standard. This probably gave him the confidence that it's only education which can be means to salvage the condition from conditions that they were living in. And therefore, they gave value of education, the most precious gift to next generation. The boy that was born in this family, nobody could have predicted that this boy is going to solve the problem of food for the world. Welcome, Professor Khush, to Rajya Sabha channel and Eureka.
My pleasure, sir.
I'm extremely thankful that in your short visit to India, you gave us time. When you look back at this journey of more than 53 years, and before that, the hardship, are you happy and satisfied? Are you confident that next generations that are going to come will take science forward the way you have slogged for it?
I am extremely happy that I got the opportunity to go into science and help the world produce more food. I feel very rewarded, and there is no doubt that for the future generations, science is the best career.
At that time, when you were born, right, it's a hypothetical question that I'm asking. If somebody had predicted that this little small village is going to produce a world-renowned scientist who is going to change the entire world of agriculture at least, would people believe at that time?
I don't think so, because most of my village members, they were all uneducated. I don't think they even realized the value of education, except probably my father, who encouraged me to go into science, and the result is there.
Your father was your role model. You studied in a school which was situated in a rented place with only one teacher.
Yes.
What motivated you to go to education and science? Because most children in those conditions leave education, especially when there is land and you know that you are asked to do a lot of agricultural activities.
Exactly.
What motivated you?
I think it was primarily to explore the truth. Science is to explore the truth.
So even as a child, you wanted to explore the truth.
Exactly.
And what did you do as a child to explore the truth? What kind of dreams you had?
I always wanted to stand first in the class. So that was the ambition, to go to get the best education and improve the situation of the family, to my village, and the public in general,
And even as a child, you knew that education can improve the condition of the village.
Yes, definitely. You see, my father, as you mentioned, that he was the first person to graduate from high school. Then all the other villagers, they were working hard in the fields all the time. But people used to come to my father. They wanted some advice. They wanted to read the letter brought from the relatives or answer back, and my father used to do. So I thought that because he has some education, he is much better than all the people around,
So he was the wise man for the
He was
entire
my
village.
inspiration. He was
And
my role model.
He was your role model. Then you came to Agriculture University. You did your BSc here. What motivated you to go to England?
At that time, there were no facilities for higher education in our country. All you could do was go to BS or MSc maximum. And I wanted to get the highest education. And so I borrowed some money, went to England, worked there in a factory for a year and a half, saved some money.
You worked in the factory
In the
that you have already mentioned.
Yes.
To get the education, accumulate some money and get the education.
Exactly.
Not to work in England.
No. I wanted to proceed to the United States because
Right from the beginning, who told you that United States is the place to go to?
listening, hearing, that USA is the best country for higher education by interacting with my teachers, some other colleagues.
Do you remember some teacher who motivated you?
Yes.
Any teacher who's...
His name was Mr. Mann and Mr. Sandhu. They were the two of my role models also in the college setting, and they always encouraged me that since I was always working hard, and they realized that I have some potential. So they encouraged me to go for higher education.
It's the teachers who motivated and who
Definitely.
made you into a scientist in nascent stages.
Teachers are the best people to encourage the young people to go into higher education.
I'm sure some teachers are listening. They can make one of the biggest scientists in the world. I'll have to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back soon. Welcome back. Professor Khush, we were discussing that it was teachers who motivated you at the school level, at the college level, and whenever you needed some help, even in United States of America, it was the teachers who came for the help. Yes. But I would like to ask the question that when you were in England and you were working in a factory, and that to a canning factory,
Yes.
Did it not demotivate you because you were not earning sufficient money to go to United States and work there and spend a good life?
Well, I think it's the objective what you keep in mind. My objective was to get the highest education. That's why I worked in the factory, saved some money, and while there, I applied to 3 universities in the US.
Right.
I got scholarships from 2. The third one gave me a very higher level of assistantship. So I selected to go to California, the University of California, Davis.
And California became your destination for your PhD and postdoctoral work.
Exactly.
You worked there for 7 years.
Yes.
Wasn't it a big cultural shock for you when you landed up in England first?
In England, yes, it was very cold climate. I grew up in Punjab, where climate was very mild. And other problem was the language. Although I had studied English for almost more than 10 years, the accent, I couldn't follow, So that was a challenge.
And they couldn't follow your accent probably.
Probably. So I managed, because studying and talking, speaking is quite different,
But when you were working, you still kept in touch with science because you were not studying.
Exactly.
You kept on thinking about it and the problems?
Not only that, when you at that time, when you went to higher education, you had to study to pass a test in 2 languages in addition to English. So while I was working, I studied German, I studied French, so that when I reached California, I didn't have any problem. I had already studied those 2 languages while working in the factory.
This place in California, when you landed up there, you started interacting with best of the mind who were working in the area of agriculture. Some of them got all kinds of awards.
Yes.
Some with you and some without you. What was it that you remember the best there as your education or opening up your mind for doing science?
Very important question. My professor, he was a world-known agriculture scientist, geneticist actually, first member of the US National Academy of Sciences from that campus. He said, you have to think rather than just become a bookworm. He said, don't believe everything is written in the book. You have to analyze. You have to try to find if there are different avenues to reach the conclusions.
Whether you can improve upon things
Exactly.
or not.
Yes.
Whether there are some holes
Yes.
to be plugged, etc.
Yes.
You were working there on the problem of tomato,
Yes.
right? How this shift took place from tomato to rice? Why didn't you continue working on tomato?
So what happened in 61? My father died. I came to India, and when I went back, they gave me what they call exchange visitors visa, which required me after finishing the postdoctoral to go back to India or go to some other country. So after I finished my tomato work, it was very, very interesting, very inspiring. The university wanted me to stay as assistant professor. That's the starting level, you know. But I couldn't take that job because I had exchange visitors visa. So then
You didn't have a permanent visa. You never tried there.
Not at that time. Not at that time. So exchange visitor visa, that's it. 4 or 5 years you can stay. So at about the same time, the Director General of International Rice Research was visiting our university, and he talked to the head of our department that I am looking for a young scientist who will start working on rice. I had never worked on rice. So this gentleman, head of our department, said, here is a young man, you can talk with him. So he visited with me, invited me to go to Philippines for interview. And after he gave me the
So it was a
appointment.
chance meeting.
Exactly.
It was a complete chance meeting which changed your career forever and which changed the world forever.
Well, I think it was maybe coincidence that I was interested in tomatoes, but here comes the rice man. He said, you have to come. And of course, the motivation was that I will be near my own country, and our country needs more food. Rather, tomatoes are important, but not as important as rice or wheat.
Absolutely.
So that was the coincidence or luck, you can say.
When did this realization come to you that tomato is not as important for a scientist as rice is?
Well, you know, of course,
It's after joining IRRI?
No, when we took the courses, we knew that what are the most important food crops. You know, tomato is a very good vegetable, but as compared to rice and wheat, it's nowhere for the food security. You know,
if food security has to be achieved in the world, you realize that it can be only achieved by wheat and rice, which are a staple food,
Exactly.
which are the basis for food.
These,
What was the problem that you were working on when you were working on tomato?
there was no problem. But
No, I'm asking about the scientific problem that you worked.
Well, you know, we were studying the field called cytogenetics and trying to identify the genes on different chromosomes, map them, so that we know more about the genetics of tomato. So that genetics which we developed, it was used for further improving the tomato for productivity, for quality, for taste, everything. So that was the basic work on the genetics of tomato.
So this genetics that you were working on, and especially on chromosomes, etc., when you were working on them, the same knowledge and same techniques, could those be applied on
100%,
rice?
100%.
So you were already trained
Exactly.
in genetics.
Exactly.
And this knowledge gave you an edge over probably most other scientists when you shifted to IRRI.
Yes, that's correct. So after 4 or 5 years, they appointed me as head of the genetics plant breeding department.
I'll have to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back soon. Welcome back. Professor Khush, we were discussing that you were the right person at the right moment, at the right place. Your achievement in these 53 years, mainly during 30 years, 35 years of your stay with IRRI, you have released 300 varieties of rice. You've published 300 papers, which is almost like 10 research papers and 10 varieties on an average every year. I'm sure a big team was working with you there, and you have collected the best of the mind from anywhere in the world. But this is a lot. How do you look back at that? How could you achieve so much?
Well, several things. One is our institute had financial support from many countries. That's very important because that's how you develop the facility. So facilities at institute were very good as anywhere in the world. Then we had very good staff to work with. So we had two kinds of staff. One is who are working at the same level as I was working. I was in breeding. We have the scientists in pathology, entomology, agronomy. Those were my colleagues. Then we had support staff, local Filipino staff members with BS or MS degrees. So we had this group which was very, very, very supportive, very enjoyable to work with. And for example, I had to travel quite a bit to the other countries to work with other scientists. So I will leave the instructions to my support staff, these people from Philippines with BSMS degrees. They were very well trained, so they would continue the work while I was traveling. When I came, I had meetings with them and find out if there were any problems or what other facilities they needed. So it was a very, very rewarding work, teamwork and multidisciplinary work. You need both disciplines and you need good support.
You are a great traveler. You've visited 69 countries and many of them multiple times, 40 times, 30 times. Did it hamper your research work or was it complementary because you were getting experience from all over the world? The genetic pool that the institute has was a few to now 1,20,000 or something, some mind-boggling number. So did it hamper your work or you were getting experience from all over the world and lead the team?
Actually, it was complementary. It gave us the opportunities to learn what are the problems in the other countries, what are the good scientists to work with. Then we had to bring some people from other countries for training so that we can build the manpower for the other countries as well. And germplasm, you mentioned, that was very important. When I joined the institute, there were only 12,000 rice varieties. And we have now up to 120,000. And that was also one of the purposes to visit these countries to find what is the best material for developing the new varieties. So we brought up germplasm, we sent them also, shared the germplasm, and so get to know the local scientists, pick up their brains also, find some new leads, So it was
what Dr. Borlaug did with wheat, you did with rice. Borlaug was fascinated by certain varieties which he thought there are going to be high-yielding varieties and could be introduced especially in Asia and Latin America.
Yes.
These are the two places he had in mind.
Right.
Did you follow the same blueprint as far as rice is concerned?
Quite a bit.
And you are rice Borlaug?
Thank you. We followed parallel. Actually, he was much senior to me, and he started the work in Mexico several years before our institute was started. But we followed some of the parallel route, bringing the materials from outside, making the crosses, developing new lines, then share it. Now it's very difficult to share the varieties with each other, but we shared without any problem. All the countries where rice was grown, they received our materials, we brought their seeds and their varieties, make the crosses, improve it. So the one component which was very important was to train. Borlaug also did the same. He will bring the young people from other countries, train them for a couple of years, send them back so that they continue to use the technology developed at the centers, as well as train then the local people. So it was a multiplying effect, And so this training component was very important. And we had a lot of conferences where we would invite the scientists to share their experience with us.
So it was exposure to various sections all over the globe who were interested in improving food security in their country, train them, send them back, and that's how you spread the word. When did you realize that in order to solve the security, food security problem in the world, rice is going to be important, and with the special focus on Asia? So when this realization came that without solving the problem in Asian countries, especially China and India,
Yes.
you cannot solve the international problem.
Exactly. These are the most densely populated countries, and the rice varieties we had, they were not high yielding. So we had to overcome that. First breakthrough was to make them high yielding, double the yield.
Which you have done.
Which we did.
Yes.
And so we realized that if we have to solve that food problem, we have to change the varieties which can give the higher yield. Then other components of management, for example, is equally important, And so we realize from the very early times that the change in the architecture of the rice plant is most important. So that led to the doubling of the yield of the rice varieties.
Right.
And then it had the impact all over the world, because when we started the work, average yield of rice was 2.1 ton. Now average yield is 4.4 tons. So that's more than double. That's the average. But if you take the single varietal case, old varieties maximum will give you 3.3 or 3.5 tons per hectare. Now we can get 8, 9 or even 10 tons per hectare.
I'm sure the humanity is going to be thankful to you and your group for that for times to come. You have been awarded by almost all countries who have something to do with rice, right from Japan, China, name any, Russia, now Russia, Soviet Union earlier,
Yes.
then Britain and United States of America.
Yes.
India has also given you
Oh, yes.
one of the best awards
Yes.
that
Padma-
one can think
Padma
of.
Shri, yes.
Which award
Yes.
do you value the best?
I think the award from my own country, from the President of India, is unique, and I value that very much. Then, of course, the World Food Prize, which is equivalent to Nobel Prize
Nobel
in
Prize in
Agriculture. The Japan Prize is equally important, and all the others. I am grateful. I am honored by all these recognitions. And this is not the work of my single, I'm a single person like me. It's a team approach. So many other people have contributed to this. It was my opportunity to work with them.
If I ask you who were the two best role models, Indian scientists, whom would you name?
Dr. Swaminathan is my role model in biological sciences. Professor C.N. Rao is another role model in physical sciences. They are our two star scientists in our country.
Both of them have been interviewed at Eureka, and I'm sure both would be very pleased to listen to your interview as well. Would you like to sign off by giving a message to younger generation?
Younger generations are the future of our country. If we have to continue to make the progress, make India the best country in the world as far as scientific achievements are concerned, our young scientists, that's their responsibility. They have to work hard without worrying about the recognition. Recognition comes by itself. So they have to work hard to make our country very, very great. And I think the training and giving the opportunity to the younger scientists and inspiring them is the most important for the future development of our science.
Future of the country is closely linked with the future of science and hard work by the younger generation. May I, on your behalf, promise our viewers that you will be happy to answer any question if they have?
Certainly, anytime.
Do write to us if you have a question, comment or query. Our email address is eurekarstv@gmail.com. Thank you very much for giving us so much of time.
My pleasure.
It was just wonderful talking to you.